I'm Adrienne, your sex positive bestie, here for sexy talk, real stories, and tips that just hit. Ready to play? Let's go. I feel like I'm a walking red flag right now because I cannot seem to get my shit together to make getting into the studio a priority. I'm trying so hard, okay? Between life, work has been so busy. My daughter is, in school and in volleyball and practices and games. Also, I've been talking about how much I've been working out. If you're on Instagram, you can join my Cravers Gym crew. If you send me a DM, I'll add you to the group. I've been really trying to get fit and work hard. And by the way, it's paying off. Since January, I've worked out 6 days a week, and I'm finally able to start really getting my cardio's up. Like I've run 15 miles in the last 3 days, and it feels really, really good. I'm getting stronger. It's just all around good. So between that and then, clean the house, run the house, cook dinner, spend quality time with my daughter and Mr. Right, see my friends, see my brother. It's hard to fit it all in. I usually love fitting everything in, but it's really, really difficult. So I have decided Tuesdays are just too hard for me. I am extremely busy in the beginning of the week and after the weekend. And I feel like if I move back to Fridays, which is an OG midlife craving episode drop date, that it will be a little bit easier. So dropping the episode today on Sunday, just to catch you guys up. And then starting next week on Friday, I will be dropping episodes. Let's see how this works out for me. I miss you guys. I want to talk to you guys. If you follow me over on Instagram at Midlife Craving, you'll see there, I'm always like, hey, I'm checking in. Like, I'm just, it's really, really difficult. When I first started the show, my God, almost 6 years ago, it was easier for me because I was single. And, there was a big situation that has changed with my daughter. She spent, I would say, 70 or 30% of the time at her dad's, right? And so I had like nights off, and now I have her pretty much 100%. And not that that's like a big deal, but it's just, all the practices are on me, all the games are on me, all the drop-offs and pickups, and, sleepovers. Like tonight, she's having 6 friends. Oh my God, 6 friends stay the night. And so, it's just a lot going on. So anyways, I just want to tell you. So just remember, moving to Fridays, dropping episodes. I got to get my shit together. I don't want to be a red flag because that's what we're going to talk about today. But first, I want to discuss with you what a wild week I've had. I've been talking to you guys about how I've been sick, right? I seriously, urgent care, 2 ear, nose, and throat doctor appointments, and finally my primary care. It has been one thing after another. They're like, oh, you have silent reflux. So now I'm taking acid reflux medicine, which I'm like, is it really that it though? Because I had the scope thing done and she was like, I do see inflammation. Okay. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Also, my other really good nurse friend who told me about Aleve D that's behind the counter at the pharmacy. If you ever get a cold, highly recommend getting that. She also messaged me and said, Adrienne, if you're having ear problems, she was like, I was told to do like an ear flush twice a day with half distilled vinegar, half alcohol. And she was like, I haven't had an ear problem since, so I'm trying that. And then my doctor gave me pain meds because it was hurting so bad to swallow, like pain would shoot up to my ear. The good news is he gave me steroids and those are working. I mean, I've just been like a science experiment. Typhoid Mary, like can't get better, but I'm on the up. Okay. Like things are looking better and at least I've been able to work out. So that feels really good too. And just like live my life. I'm not down and out like I was in December when I had the flu. Just a very, very wild week. I'm also very happy to report that Mr. Right and I've been getting it in, and it's something that's just like so important to me. Before I get going though, I want to say, Mr. Right, if you're listening, hi babe. It was funny. I got in his car the other day and I heard my voice and I was like, hey. And he was like, oh, I'm catching up on the episode. And I'm like, sometimes I forget because I think of this as like a Dear Diary. Like it's just me and my cravers. I forget sometimes that this is out there for everyone to listen to, right? Like my cousins or my family or, friends and peers and, Mr. Right. And like, they're listening to this stuff. And it was funny because, I got in the car and I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, you want me to turn it off? I'm like, no. And so we listened to it together, and he's just, he's so proud of me and supports me so much in everything that I do. And it means the world to me. And so it was funny, but I still just like, oh, we're going to listen to this together. Okay. So let's talk about how we've been getting it in. Something really hot happened the other day. So he came home a little early, and I was like doing a couple of things, and he was downstairs getting settled. And it was so funny. I saw him like come around the corner, and right as he was walking towards me, I was like, hi. Like, I could tell there was some intention in his eyes. And all of a sudden the garage door swings open, and our cleaner was like, hello. And he was like, what the fuck? And he was like, Adrian, I was about to come in here and destroy you. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, okay, I got this. I was like, can you guys start in the basement today? And I was like, let's go upstairs. So we went upstairs, like fucked it out. It was seriously like so hot and so good. And it was just really, really funny. We also had a nice little romp the other day where he had me on the edge of the bed and like my ankles by his ears, and was just like, I was like, take me to Pound Town. He was like, okay. And then he flipped me over, and we finished in our favorite prone position. And something I asked him, I said, what feels better for you? Because I feel like he can, pound it out forever. But as soon as we get into like a slow position, especially the prone position, where I swear to God, like we were just made for each other in that position. And he's like, damn, babe, I'm going to finish. And I was like, so what feels better? Like the thrusting and the in and out, or like the really, and he was like, Adrian, come on. He's like, they're really slow. And I was like, okay. So just, it's just something I was interested in. And I have already texted him today because I don't know why I am raging. And I told him, I was like, when you get home, we're going upstairs to the bathroom, or you're like, I don't care. Like, you're going to bend me over and like, let's get it on. Okay. It's just one of those days where I'm like, oh, I have to get it in. Have you been there? I think we all have. All right. So I want to talk today about red flags and green flags in relationships. Now, this is with people that you're romantically involved with. I think next week I'm going to do an episode. God, there's so much I want to talk about. I want to do an episode about friends and people that you surround yourself with. And, are they a fountain in your life? Like, are they overfilling your cup, or are they a drain? When you're done with them, do you feel drained, exhausted by their presence? It's something I've been really noticing, like, as I look around the room. And I think to myself, have people always been this crazy? Have things always been this wild? Because all of a sudden I'm like, this person's a sociopath. That person's a narcissist. This person is just using me. She's a friend of me. It's like, what is going on? And as you get older, I think it's just that you get smarter and you learn behaviors of people. And then you also like lessen your toleration of bullshit in your life. And I want to talk about that. Like, are the people in your life, and this includes family, fountains or drains? So I want to talk about that. So again, this episode is just red flags and green flags in relationships. Okay, let's start with the red flags, because I once saw this meme where they were like, this guy was handing this girl, or a girl was handing a guy, a bouquet of red flags. And I just always have that visual in my head. So let's talk about it. I actually helped create this episode with Mr. Right. So I'll let you guys know, because I was like, I want a male POV on this as well. So red flags in relationships, controlling behavior. Right? That's a huge thing for me. And it happens slowly. It's like a subtle thing where all of a sudden you're like, okay, so they don't want me to do this and they don't want me to do that. And I'm not allowed to hang out with them, and I'm not allowed to hang out with her. And it's happened slowly, but all of a sudden they all add up and you're like, wow, this person's really controlling me. I remember in my marriage, it was like, I don't want you hanging out with her. I don't want you doing this. And I've seen it in other couples as well. Like, the controlling thing, and they're always under their thumb. I think that is like probably one of the most massive red flags ever, next to lack of accountability. There are so many people in this world who need to go look in the mirror. Like, and it's funny because like some people, like, we're going to talk about this next week when we talk about fountains and drains, but like, oh, I don't have many friends, or I don't know why everybody doesn't like me, or I don't know why I have a hard time. And it's like, take a look inside. There's a reason, right? Lack of accountability is so huge. It's something that I've tried to work on as well. When I think about this, I think about the situation that happened to me in my last job. It was a really, really, really hard situation for me. And getting fired was not on my 2024 bingo card, okay? Like, I was at this company for 10 years. It was, it was a shock to me. I mean, I knew I was going to get fired for weeks, but I was prepared, I would say. But it was really, really, really hard. It was a massive blow to my ego. And looking back, I thought to myself, you know what? I played a role in that. That job had worn me down to somebody and turned me into somebody I didn't even recognize. I should have left that place 2 years before, honestly. I wasn't respecting leadership. I was just burned out to the point of no return. And, I was not listening and disregarding things they said and, whatever. And I had a really shitty attitude, right? Like, I have to take accountability for my actions too. It makes me think about that, because that was one place where I was like, wow, I really, I got to take some accountability here. Okay. So that is huge, 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 huge. The next one is disrespect in any way, right? It could be subtle, or it could be very obvious. If your partner's disrespecting you, that is a non-negotiable, cannot tolerate bad behavior, okay? And like I said, it can happen indirectly, it can be subtle, and that's just not okay, right? Like, your partner should be the number one person in your corner, your biggest cheerleader. I see that a lot, by the way, especially in couples that have been together for a really long time and they have problems. It's like just disrespectful. I remember one of my friends asked another friend, and he said, do you respect your husband? And she was like, no. And he was like, damn, like that's a really, really big deal. Another red flag for me is poor communication. If you can't talk to your partner, if you can't bring up the tough stuff, it's going to do nothing but build resentment and just create cracks in your foundation that are going to be beyond repair. Okay. I'm thinking about my relationships in the past and the difference between those and now with Mr. Right. I have never in my life had so much communication. And trust me, we've had tough talks, right? We've had tough talks on the porch. We've had tough talks laying in bed. We've had tough talks going on walks. It's something that is a part of your relationship, and it's how you heal things and how you speak with each other and really talk things out. If you don't have that open dialogue with your partner, it could be a massive problem. So poor communication to me is a red flag. It just is. If you can't have that, that's going to be very difficult to overcome. The next one for me, and this is a huge one, especially in the beginning of dating, right, is inconsistent behavior. Hot and cold, yes and no. They say, but they don't do. Like, I'm always saying, and I've said it a million times on the show, I don't give a shit what somebody says. I give a shit what they do. And this is big to me. Like, when I think about Mr. July, he was like the epitome of inconsistency. One week it was like, hey, I'm so crazy about you. You're my girl, whatever. And then I wouldn't hear from him for 5 days. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, just very, very, very inconsistent behavior. That motherfucker handed me a bouquet of red flags. He hired an airplane. In the back was just a red flag flying around. He had a red flag confetti that he would throw in my face when I saw him. But, blind as could be. Okay, the next one is when they violate your boundaries, right? Like, that's not okay. If you have boundaries that you have set for yourself and you've expressed that to your partner and they continue to violate them, red flag, that's a no for me. Something I learned in my marriage is love bombing is a huge red flag. And I know in the beginning of a relationship, it can feel so good. You're like, oh my God, this person is spoiling me. He likes everything that I like. He wants to do everything that I want to do. Everything feels so good. This feels so right. Ugh, that unfortunately that's not a good outcome for you if someone's love bombing you. I'm pretty sure that everybody that's listening to this right now has had some sort of experience with this, sadly. But, love bombing in the beginning is definitely an issue. When I think back about my marriage and how I met my ex-husband. Like it was, oh my God, I just wish I could have known then what I know now, but then I wouldn't be who I am now. So I have to remember that. But God, I would have seriously looked at him and been like, you're a fucking fool. Get out of my life. Like what? Okay. Anytime a red flag is dishonesty and secrecy. Okay. Like that's a really big deal. Catching them in lies early on, catching them in, excuse me, any kind of secrets that they have, stuff like that. Big deal. Big red flag. Gosh, I'm thinking again about, I had so many, like I said, so many red flags in my life. I don't even know if I could see the color red back then. Anyways, right before I got married, I remember I caught him in a big lie. He had lied about going to college. And I was like, why would you lie about that? And like to lie about something like that, what else were you lying about? You know, so dishonesty, secrecy, it's a no-go. Okay, here's one from Mr. Right. And he said, someone that's clingy. He's like someone that's, texting you all the time, calling you all the time, too strong and too fast. I was like, do you have experience with that? And he was like, yes. He also said one-sided conversation. If you're always the one doing the talking, you're always the one doing, asking the questions and trying to learn about them, red flag, move on. This is where he and it's funny because when he said this, I was like, I don't think so. But he was like, I think a red flag is when a woman doesn't offer to pay. And I was like, like I feel on a first date, like it kind of shouldn't even be a question. Like the man should pay. And he was like, well, no, he was like, I will pay, but you at least like offer. And I was like, did I offer on our first date? And he was like, I think so. I'm like, I don't think I did. But in fact, I think he just kind of took care of the bill, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that. What do you think about that? Like, I don't know. I just feel like the guy should pay first, especially if like he asked her out. I don't know. It's just, to me, I go old school on that. Now, in the future, do I offer to pay? Absolutely. I'm offering to pay and I only have lip gloss in my purse. Okay. But like, it's the thought that counts, right? But that was a big one for him. Okay. The next one is being late consistently, he said. That like drove him crazy. I guess to dates or events. And yeah, I agree with that, by the way. Like, fuck that. It's funny. I actually just had a conversation with a friend the other day. So she's out there in the dating world and this guy she was supposed to go on a date on Friday night and he messaged her like, I don't know, a few hours before and was like, hey, I have a head cold. Just wanted to let you know, like before we went out. And so of course she's like, well, if you're not feeling well and like if you have a head cold, like let's postpone. And I said to her, I wouldn't reschedule. Like, am I fucked up? Like, am I a bitch? But, a first date thing, like, you know what I would say? I would be like, hey, I'm really not feeling good, but maybe we can FaceTime and like, talk a little bit. Or I don't know. I just feel like just for a first date, if you have a head cold, you don't figure that out 2 hours before. To me, that's a red flag. And I'm not going to give you a second chance. I actually told her this story. Okay. And this impacts how I met Mr. Right. So in May or June, I don't remember, of a couple months before I met him, Mr. Right, I went on a date with this guy and it was great. I remember we went to a local dive bar and he was so handsome and so funny. And I was like, this guy's cool, like so laid back. So much so that he was like, hey, Adrian, how about we go over the bridge and we get dinner at the jetty? He was like, it's a beautiful night. And he had a Jeep and he was like, I'll take the top down. We'll go over the bridge and we'll have a great dinner on the water. And I was like, you know what? That sounds good. So I dropped off my car, hopped in his Jeep, and we went over the bridge and we had so much fun. It was a beautiful sunset. We had some fish tacos, drinks were amazing, like orange crushes. And then we even continued the party over to another spot. The wind was coming in. It was just like a perfect date. And then the kiss was amazing at the end of the night. And I was like, all right, see you next time. It was great, right? And I even told her and others, I was like, oh my gosh, like I had a really good date the other night. Like, wow, shocker, right? And then we went on another date, I think a few days later, and he got an Uber for us to go get sushi downtown in Annapolis. And I'll never forget, like, he was so fun. He was like, we got in the Uber and the guy was like, oh, where are you guys going? He's like, oh, we're going to go get sushi. He's like, yeah. He's like, we're celebrating 10 years tonight. You know, we've been through so much and I'm just, you know, me and my baby, we're going to get sushi. And I was like laughing so hard because it was our second date, right? It was hilarious. I was like, this guy's cool. So we go get sushi outside. It was a beautiful night. And then we went back to his house and just everything, like the vibes were right. Everything was good. And I was like, okay, we're gonna smash. And I remember he had like red lights and like his house, like he had like music and like he was listening to like old school rap and shit that I'm into. And I was like, this is cool. This is a good vibe. We had sex 3 times. Like it was a great night. And I was like, oh my God, like the sex was fantastic. I'm like, hell yeah, this is awesome. So, consistency that, you know, we're talking, whatever. And he was like, hey, let's go to Ocean City this weekend. He was like, I have a house down there. He was like, you know, pack a cooler and, you know, we can just meet. We can leave early on Saturday morning and then I'll get you back by Sunday evening. He was like, it'd be really fun. Like it's supposed to be a beautiful weekend. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That sounds amazing. So went Tuesday, still talking, like whatever, Wednesday, Thursday's good. And then Friday he messages me and he's like, hey, I am not feeling well and I'm about to go to urgent care. And I was like, really? I was like, okay, well, you know, just let me know. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I have a sore throat. And I was like, all right. And it was like weird because I was like, it just felt off. Okay. Like everything inside of me was screaming, like the red flags were flying for me. Right. And I said, so then he messages me and he's like, hey, tested positive for strep throat. So it looks like this weekend's out. I don't know. It's just something was off about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, get well soon. Wish you the best. Well, then I didn't hear from him until like the following Tuesday. Okay. And he was like, hey, I'm feeling better. Maybe we can go on another date. I thought to myself, if you can't message me over the last like 4 days, and by the way, I've had strep throat a million times. It's a big reason why I got my tonsils taken out at the age of 40. And you know what? You could still use a fucking phone. You could still send a text message. You could still keep like, fuck off. So I was like, yeah. I said, you know what? I was like, I'm actually really busy this week. And I think I kind of just left it at that. And I remember I was at the pool with my friend and I said, yeah, I'm not giving that another chance. And she was like, what? And she was like, Adrienne, you were into him. I'm like, yeah, well, I just felt something's off. It was just off. Excuse me. God. And I just cut it off. And you know what? Like a few weeks later, I met Mr. Right. So imagine this. Imagine if I would have continued to entertain him, went on another date, let him be hot and cold, not be consistent and still carrying me along. I could have missed the opportunity to go on a date with Mr. Right because who knows? I could have been on a date with him or I could have been wasting, time with him. And that's what I'm talking about. Like when you are like, it's just such, I don't know. It's a big deal for me to not be wasting my time. And if you're out there and someone's breadcrumbing you or being hot and cold or any of these things, I know I've gone off on a tangent, but it's just such a good example on how you are missing out on what could be really meant for you when you're entertaining bullshit with others. Like, cut them off. Okay. I just had a conversation with a friend the other day when I was on my walk and I was like, she's been seeing her ex-boyfriend for like the last 6 months. I'm like, why? Why? He's coming here. You guys are playing house for the weekend. Why are you doing that? Like you're missing the opportunity. And it just doesn't make you feel good after either. You're not building yourself up. You're not, building your confidence and getting out there, meeting new people, someone that could be your Mr. Right. And she was like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, cut him off. But it's difficult for her to do. And I respect that. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, you're, whatever. But I'm like, hey, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It's not going to happen. Okay. God, I went on a tangent there, but it's like such a big deal. Okay. The next one, Mr. Wright said if they're a vegetarian or a picky eater. And I was like, but I have a funny story to share with you of another friend who went on a date with this doctor and she calls me after and she was like, Adrienne. I was like, what? And she was like, there's something weird about him. And I was like, what is it? And she was like, we went to this like nice place and he ordered chicken fingers and fries. And I was like, okay, like whatever. And she was like, and he told me that he hates wings. And if somebody even sits next to him with chicken wings, he has to get up and leave. And I was like, what? I was like, this man's afraid of chicken? Like, what the fuck? And also I'm thinking to myself, like, if you can't like eat a good wing and enjoy a good wing, like that's weird, right? I was like, no, immediately no. So I kind of related when Mr. Right was like, a vegetarian, a picky eater, whatever. In the world that Mr. Right is in, he said he thinks it's a red flag if you sit on the same side of the booth. I call them same-siders. And you know what? I agree. Although there is this one table in the restaurant that I love that I feel like I sit same side when I go in there. And that's because it's good people watching. It's the spot by the bar. But anyways, okay, the next one. Oh, and this is huge. Same restaurant deal. Red flag when your partner is rude to servers, okay, or someone providing a service. This is such a big deal. I remember one time I went on this date and this guy ordered a BLT and it comes out and he's like, ugh, what the fuck are they doing back there? And he goes, excuse me, does this bacon look crispy to you? And she was like, and he was like, I need my bacon to be crispy. And isn't this like shouldn't there be more bacon on this? And I was looking at him and I was like, I'm going to fucking cut you. Like, what is wrong with you? And he was like yelling at this girl and being super rude. And I was like, and guess who never saw him again? Yeah, massive red flag. Also, side note, I think that everybody once in their life should serve tables. It is such a humbling experience. And the way people treat people out there who are serving tables or bartending is just beyond me. I feel like everybody should do that so they can just get a vibe of what it is and how much hard work it is. Okay, another red flag is someone that has no sense of humor. And I totally agree with that. Someone that can't laugh at themselves or have fun or, be silly. Like that's a big deal. Another one is someone who is always being overserved and drinks a ton. I've been on dates before where someone's just like pounding beers and I'm like, hi, are you going to be here in a couple of hours? Like, that's another big flag. And by the way, like the addiction bullshit, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Highly, highly do not recommend. Mr. Wright said he thinks it's a red flag when someone's parents are their best friend. I have something to say about that. As a mother to a daughter, I have always told her, like, I am not your friend. I will never be your friend. I'm your mother. And that's a big deal to me. I see some moms who are posting like my little built-in bestie or whatever. And I'm thinking, yeah, no, like I'm always going to be an authoritative figure in your life. I don't know. I know that like there's like issues with like mommies, boys and all that crazy stuff. I haven't had experience in that, but I guess Mr. Wright has. Another red flag. And, this is in the beginning of a relationship or even like if it dissipates throughout, like not responding to text messages. You guys, we are living in a world where you can accidentally text someone. If someone takes a long time to respond to you, that's a choice. Like not responding is a response. Like just try to remember that, especially when you're dating and getting to know somebody. Like do not tolerate that shit. Like they're not busy. Okay. Like it's this complete bullshit. They're choosing not to respond to you. And all of us are using our phones all the time. Okay. Another one that Mr. Wright had said is that if you're not getting compliments with one another, he thinks that's a red flag. I believe too, like your gut will just tell you, right? Like you're going to know, like there's going to be this like weird vibe, right? And also in dating, there should be no gray areas, guys. Like I've heard every excuse in the world from my friends and I used to do it myself. But until I smartened up and I realized like, this is bullshit. I'm not tolerating this and started cutting those people out. That is where I got on the path to meet my happily ever after, right? Like you gotta stop wasting time with these people. And by the way, it pisses me off to know that they get away with it. Okay. Another one is I think it's a red flag when someone's like, all my exes are crazy or, she's crazy and everybody else is crazy and everyone's crazy but them. And I get it. There's a lot of trauma and things in the past, that you overcome and you've been through. But I'm a big believer in number one, not really discussing that because we're not looking that way anymore, right? Like we're not going back. And Also, like, it's just not, I don't know. I just think it's a red flag if you're constantly like, well, she was crazy. He was like, after a while, it's like, well, what was the common denominator here? Right. Another thing that's a huge red flag to me, oh my God, is if someone doesn't keep a nice home. If they're unorganized or a really messy home, like, oh my God, I remember when I first met Prince Charming, I had to use the bathroom and I actually squatted in his bathroom, like on my tippy toes. It was so messy. And that should have been such a massive red flag for me. I should have been like, oh my God. Because then what happens is you end up being like a motherly figure to him. And I think it's a huge sign of a man-child. So beware. The last big red flag that Mr. Wright and I came up with together was when someone tries to change who you are. You know, I always tell people, if you're going to try to change your partner, you're going to, even if your partner's like all in and like, yeah, I'm going to make this change for you, you're going to get about a 30% change from them. And if you don't love your partner for everything that you love about them, plus their flaws, it's not going to work out. It's just not going to work. Like, I just don't know how to explain this. Like, you have to accept and love your partner for who they are. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're not going to be able to change somebody. You're never going to fix them. In fact, the only thing you're going to do is exhaust yourself and then wear yourself out, burn yourself out of the relationship. And then, not to sound rude, but it's just wasting time, right? Okay, so let me see if I missed anything. Jealousy, being insecure, all of their exes are crazy. Okay, I think I wrapped all of that up. Lots of red flags. And I think that you could probably tell me a lot more as well. But these are the ones that Mr. Wright and I were talking about. Okay, green flags. This is something that like kind of like spawned this episode for me, is when just the way that Mr. Wright is with me, that is so different from any of my relationships in the past. For instance, he's the first person like I share my location with, and he shares his with me. When my dad was sick and dying, I was traveling and all over the place. And I just wanted him to know where I was, because there was a lot of time where I wasn't able to respond. And so I would be in Northern Virginia at the Cancer Institute. I would be, at hospice or at my dad's house or running errands for him or whatever it may be. I wanted him to know where I was and that I was okay. That's something I've never done before. But I think it's a green flag, right? Like, neither of us have anything to hide. Another thing is that Mr. Wright and I had access to each other's phones and emails and computers, whatever, immediately from the jump. And it wasn't even like something weird. Like, we would listen to music on the porch and he'd be like, what's your password to your phone? And I would tell him, and then he would play music and he'd be like, oh yeah, here's the password. And it's like just free flowing, open. And something else that he always does. This man leaves his phone up and open any time ever. In fact, a couple of days ago, he left his phone at home. He was like, hey, I think I left my phone at home. I think it's in the bathroom. And like, that's just such a trusting thing. And by the way, I would never, ever, ever violate his trust, go through his phone. Like, that is never going to happen. If I feel like I need to go through his phone, that's going to be a conversation that we really need to have beforehand. I just don't believe in that shit. Like, it's such a huge violation of privacy. I remember one time when I was in college, I was like, this guy, I was just like a fuck buddy. And I remember I woke up and he was going through my phone and I was like, what the fuck? Like, my Motorola Razr. And like, what could he have seen? My past calls? Like, how ridiculous is that? You could even see text messages back then. And he was like, and he's like, sorry, wrong phone. I'm like, yeah, my hot pink Razr Motorola phone is yours. Come on now. I was like, that's creepy and weird. Red flag, you're out. But the phone thing is such a big deal. And I really appreciate it about him. And we do that together, right? It's just such a refreshing and trusting and amazing thing. Okay. More green flags. If you meet their friends and their family in a timely manner, like they're introducing you to their friend circle, they are like, the family's a different thing. Like, that I feel like does take time, and like, you grow into that, if you will, but they're always, including you in their inner circle. Like, if you are dating someone or with someone that you don't really know their friends and they don't bring you home to meet their family, it's not a good thing, right? It was funny because Mr. Wright and I were talking about this episode, and he was like, Adrienne, just say the opposite of all the red flags is what the green flags are. It's like so true. Another thing I want to talk about is like introductions to kids. Gosh, in midlife, guys, like this is what we're dealing with, right? And I've said it before when I was dating, I was like, I don't know if I can be with somebody that has children under the age of 10 because it's such a vulnerable age. And like, I don't know, to me, that was like kind of a boundary that I wasn't gonna do. But, meeting children and stuff like that, like that's a really, really big deal. And so if I met someone's kid like on the first date, I'd be like, oh, that's a little too fast. Or if someone never introduced me to their kid, I'd be like, so am I going to be included? Like, imagine going a whole year and not meeting their kid. Like that's a really big deal. So like a green flag is like being timely with meeting children. Like they have respect for their child. They have respect to grow and, really be serious about your relationship. Like that should be a very timely and, excuse me, it should be at a respectable pace, right? As well as like your relationship. A green flag to me is like when you're not getting love bombed, the pace feels good. It feels natural. It's easy, right? Like it should be easy, guys. My friends who are overanalyzing and stressing about things, I'm like, oh my God, like this is not it. Like it shouldn't be like this. It should be easy. And it's easy for me to say because, I've been through all of that and I've made all the mistakes. So it's really easy for me to say that now. And I know it's difficult, but you're just wasting your time if you tolerate anything else. Okay, a green flag, again, is like the opposite of the red flag. Like they're taking accountability. Another thing that's a huge green flag for me is someone that has a life, right? They have a life outside of you. They have hobbies and friends and events and, goals and aspirations and drive to do things in life. They're not like revolving their world around you. Like, I think that is a huge red flag, by the way. Like you're not the sole source of their happiness. And, that's just a really big deal. It really, really is. Another thing too, let's talk about this. A green flag is if they're emotionally available, like they're not dodging being vulnerable with you. That's huge. Green flag is, they have stability, right? They have a nice house or, whatever, like they live well. They're, they got a job, they got a bank account, like Jesus, they have a car. That's all green flags. Another one is that you guys have similar interests, right? When you have similar interests and you're sharing those together, like you kind of like, I swear to you, like one of the things that I love so much about Mr. Right is that he's my best friend. Truly, truly my best friend. There's no one else I'd rather hang out with. In fact, there's been times where I'm like, hey, like I just want to hang out me and you. Or like I'd rather just be home, chilling, hanging out. Like we really rarely go out anymore because we have so much fun at home together, playing cards or sitting on the porch or playing volleyball with our daughter. Like there's so much that we do where it's just, I don't know, it's just having those similar interests and really just being best friends with your partner. Another green flag is when we talked about conversation stuff, but conversation's not forced. There's no awkward silences. Like the amount of communication is just right. That's a big deal. And it shouldn't be work, guys. It should be easy. Another one that's really, really huge for me is, the green flag is when you love who they're surrounded with. Like they have good friends. You guys all get along. They surround themselves with good people. No drama. Like that's a really big deal. And then another green flag, which is again the opposite of a red flag, they have a sense of humor. And again, just with the green flag thing, there's no gray areas. You totally know and understand where they're coming from, what their intentions are, where things are going. It really is that simple, you guys. Seriously. And like, it shouldn't be difficult. And if it is difficult, cut that shit off because you deserve everything. You deserve all the green flags. Don't waste your time with someone who's handing you a bouquet of red flags. All right. Okay. So remember, I'm going to be dropping episodes on Fridays. So next Friday, I'm going to be talking about people in your life because I've been experiencing some things and just noticing, especially over the last year or so, people that are in your life that are fountains or drains, and those drains, they gotta go. Okay. And it's hard. And I'm going through some things right now where I'm like, oh, this person is showing me their true colors or showing me who they are. I have to believe them and I have to move on. I have to move differently in the future. And it can be painful and it can be hard, but it's the move that you have to make. So we're going to talk about that. I will see you guys next Friday. It's been a really long time since I've said that.